Hey everyone, Brian from Bearable Traders here. It is Wednesday, May 1st, first day of the month, and we had a wild day today. So we had the FOMC meeting minutes come out, and then Fed Chair Powell talked, and you can see what kind of happened here once the meeting minutes were released, and then he started chatting, and we had a real sell-off into the close here. Market investors obviously disappointed with what he had to say. I think some people had hoped that maybe he would be starting to talk about maybe a rate cut. Obviously, that was something that people had in their minds. And when he started talking about holding pat and seeing where inflation goes towards the end of the year, people did not like the sound of that. So we had a real sell off. Other interesting price action today that we saw was AMD was gapping up at the open on some good earnings, and it just sold off hard. And some of our traders in the room, we took that to the short side, and some of them held on right to the end of the day, which really paid off. So that was nice. So let's look at the markets, the internals quickly. You can see here we're still, still a majority above the 200 and the 50. New highs, new lows, still bullish, I should say. Advanced decline, not great today, but given the sell-off, not surprising to see that. And let's take a quick look at the groups, see how we're doing with the week. Obviously, technology really took it on the chin today. Conglomerates and healthcare for the weaker 1 week performance are actually looking not bad. So maybe healthcare's, which has not done well so far, maybe we're going to see a rotation into healthcare, but still be nervous about healthcare just because of the coming up election cycle and how I've talked about how politicians love to beat up on the healthcare industry. So we'll keep an eye on that one. And yeah, let's take a look at some of the indexes quickly. The U.S. 10-year Treasury, again, not surprising, found sort of a level here at 2.5 on the yield, 2.52. Like I said, I think we're going to kind of chop in this range. Maybe I think this is where we're going to be stuck, which is not necessarily a bad thing for stocks. I think if we start to see it creep up again, it might not be a good thing. But right now, I think as long as we're in this range, we're probably good for stocks. You can see here on the Dow daily, we just sold off today. Looks like a bit of a double top here. We'll see what happens tomorrow. But as I mentioned before, I kind of feel like we're going to start to chop sideways here. Not a significant volume. RSI seems to be rolling over a little bit here, so we may be in for some chop, and that may apply to all the indexes. Let's take a look at the IWM quickly. Again, looks like we're getting some topping action, and you can see here we're right at a level of prior resistance, and volume dropped off a little bit. RSI again rolling over, maybe double top here. But it looks like we may be kind of stuck here. We're going to skip over the weeklies, obviously, because we're only halfway through the week. Qs again sold off on some rising volume. And of course, that was AMD and some of the other chips, the chip stocks, the semis like NVIDIA sold off, ended up selling off. Yeah, finally, let's look at the SPY. S&P 500, large caps again, same story, sold off, average sort of volume, RSI rolling over, all the same story. So, we may be now sort of stuck here topping out. And let's take a look at the dollar. The dollar did a bit of a pullback here today. You can kind of see here, this is a typical pattern. We get to test a level, we break out, and then we pull back and we retest that level where it broke out, and that's exactly what happened today. We had a retest of this breakout level, and you can see we significantly broke back above, back up higher again, in an outside reversal day, as they call it. And we did that on some volume too, so kind of an interesting day. I suspect the dollar will start to move back up again based on this price action. So at least you could, if you wanted to take a trade on this, 2610 would be your stop out level. and I would expect this to move higher, although it doesn't have a big range, daily range. So, but I think the dollar is going to be strong and continue to be strong. VIX obviously up on the day that all the indexes were down, so that's not a huge surprise. Let's take a look at what we've got actives. We've kind of backed out of a lot of things because I knew the FOMC meeting was probably going to be a source of some heartburn. And you can see here AOBC. I was really hoping this kind of pattern here looked like it was going to break out, and then we had a bit of an indecision candle both yesterday and today. So this moving average is still curling up, so I'm still hoping that this will move up. Again, we didn't do much here on volume today. It was kind of a low volume day, so still hanging with that one. VNet's been a bit of a disappointment. You can kind of see here a bit of a cup and handle, which was a pattern that I like to trade, and it really it should have started to break out here. And again, disappointed with that price action, but given the type of day we had today, it just sold off with the rest of the market, and did it on very little volume today. So maybe this pullback is maybe a pause and a refresh to push higher. Got to be careful about this one because we are coming up to earnings on this, an earnings report. Don't like to hold stocks through earnings. And you can see why. If you look at Square after hours, Qualcomm after hours, they're all down. So let's just see. I've got the usual on watch. Dust looks like it is breaking out here, and that would be sort of in line with Powell's statement that they're not intending to raise rates, because back here February 20th when he kind of changed his mind about raising rates, you can see what happened here with Dust the last time. So looks like Dust wants to break out here. We made a bit of a bull flag here, and maybe we're starting to break out. So we'll keep an eye on that tomorrow and maybe take an entry on it. The emerging market ETF did sold off with the rest of the market, and if the dollars may not help with the dollar going stronger either. So semis again, they took a hit because of all the chip stocks selling off, and we may be more downside with Qualcomm after hours down, and there may be some more pressure on the downside, and especially with the AMD, we had really ugly price action on AMD today. Natural gas kind of looks, I don't know where it's going right now, so I'm not playing it, but I'm going to keep an eye on it. UWT again seems to be holding here. It sold off a little bit and came back at the end of the day, so it doesn't seem to be doing anything. Let's just take a look quickly at AMD. Let's see the price action that we had today, because I'm sure a lot of people were looking at it as well. Let's look at the 15-minute. Yeah, so this is about as horrible price action as you can possibly see on a stock. Gapped up on some good earnings news, and just sold off relentlessly to about noon. Came back, and then couldn't get back up. Failed higher low, or lower high, I should say, and then tanked. So this was horrible price action, obviously, and we'll be interested to see what happens with AMD tomorrow. Let's take a look at the daily here. Yeah, just a really ugly day outside. An outside move today, gap up and then gap down. So there was a looked like a gap fill right here, and also some prior support or prior resistance, prior support. And yeah, like I said, there's more downside here, possibly to 25 if continues to head lower. 25.80 roughly on the 50-day moving average. So yeah, so that's it, everybody. I hope everyone had a good trading day today, and we'll see you all in the Bear Bull trading room in the morning. If you haven't had a chance, you can always check out my book on Amazon, How to Swing Trade, by myself. And yeah, so let's just see what tomorrow brings. Should be another interesting day. Bye for now, everyone.